Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Vinyl Den, your channel for record collecting by record collectors. I'm Nick.
I'm Ian.
Today we're talking about some of our favorite movie soundtracks. There's a bunch of links down below. Make sure you go check them out. There's links for the Vinyl Den Facebook group, for the merch page, for the Spotify and Apple Music weekly playlist, and of course the Patreon page. Make sure you go check all that out. Of course, if you enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you're notified every time we release new episodes. So to be completely honest, I've never been a huge fan of movie soundtracks, but there are a bunch of great ones I love though. So
yeah, because it's, you know, as we were talking off camera, if the soundtrack's really good, you might have a lot of those artists' songs anyway. But as my first one that I'm going to show you will point out, that that's not always the case.
Why don't you go ahead and lead us off then, Ian?
All right, Dazed and Confused. You know, it's basically the quintessential 70s classic rock groups.
And it's a great soundtrack.
It's a great soundtrack. It's a great movie. But we were talking, and he's like, well, do you have all the artists on there? I'm like, well, I've got Alice Cooper, Black Sabbath, and
that's about
I
it.
will eventually have all of Deep Purple. But that's it. Everyone else on there I don't have, and it's probably because I don't like Leonard Skinner. But the songs that are on the soundtrack might be the only songs of theirs I like.
Yeah.
You know?
But it is a great soundtrack. It's a great movie.
Right.
One I go back to quite often. But
yeah, because, you know, and it's a snapshot of a time period, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the first movie soundtrack I ever listened to, I grew up watching this movie. I've always loved this movie. And that is Grease. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that feel the same way. You know, it's such a quotable movie. It's, you know, there's all the songs in here are fantastic songs, and I like the movie more than the play.
I've actually never seen the Broadway version of it.
Yeah,
I've only ever seen the movie. The movie's enough for me.
Yeah,
so.
But just a great soundtrack.
This next one is, if you're talking about soundtracks, this one's always going to pop up in people's lists. I know.
Absolutely.
Forrest Gump, obviously, not just the songs that are in it, but the actual score, everything.
I kind of look at the Forrest Gump soundtrack a lot like I look at the Dazed and Confused soundtrack. There's a lot of great songs on there. There's probably not a lot of stuff on there that would have like full, complete albums out.
And there might even be some crossover, to be honest with you. I don't remember, but you're gonna,
really.
Well, Freebird. Isn't Freebird in Dazed and Confused?
No.
Okay. Anyway,
I don't think it is. Actually.
But Leonard Skinner, you're going to get a crossover of artists, perhaps, because it's a snapshot of time periods.
Yeah.
But I mean, Forrest Gump is like, not only is the soundtrack going to be ideal for most people as a kind of a collection of stuff, but to be honest with you, it's the movie too. I think most people are going to always it's going to be in their collection for sure.
Yeah. Another fantastic one, the one that I love the score and the soundtrack for. And it's probably the most modern of the soundtracks we have. Maybe except for one, but it's the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy. The score on this is great, even though I know Ian's not a big fan.
Tyler Bates is not my favorite composer for movie scores.
Yeah, but the soundtrack itself is great. Spans a bunch of different genres, and it's just it's one of those soundtracks where I can listen to it and know exactly the part of the movie that it comes from.
And I think that's kind of the genius of the film, really, and the subsequent sequels. It really is a mixtape.
Yes,
exactly. It's like the perfect mixtape of songs, and that's what makes, I think, the soundtrack work really well. So this one is obviously going to be kind of quintessential 80s, and that's Footloose. Can't go wrong with a Footloose soundtrack.
Kenny Loggins is a master of 80s soundtracks.
Of 80s soundtracks, yeah, absolutely. Really because of this and Top Gun. I mean, that's Danger Zone and Footloose. Those are... Without those two songs, I think the 80s would have sucked.
Yeah. The cool thing is about Footloose is my son, his high school is doing Footloose for their yearly play, and my son is playing the role of Willard, so I thought that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I just watched this movie not too long ago.
Yeah, and we were talking about it. We were looking at the soundtrack. I'm like, I'm watching this. I need to watch this. I'm going to, maybe tonight, honestly.
I think another one of those quintessential 80s soundtracks, of course, is Back to the Future. This is the Mondo version that came out a few years ago. I love the way Mondo, the artwork and everything that Mondo does. This is the DeLorean Gray version, I think is what they call it. But
now, real quick, is this got the couple tracks by Huey Lewis and News, or is this strictly the score?
This is the soundtrack. This is not the score.
Oh, okay. Oh, so it's got like Johnny Be Good and all that other stuff. Okay. Because Alan Silvestri is, I think he's probably in the top 10 of movie score composers, in my opinion.
Mondo does have the score available on vinyl, though, if you like the score.
Yeah, which I do. But I had the score on cassette when I was a kid, and it did not have the other songs, the rock songs and stuff. It was just the score. Yeah, so that's why I was curious.
This says Johnny B. Good and all that stuff on it.
Mm-hmm. So the last one I'm going to bring out is, again, this is it's kind of like Grease, where the music is just as much a part of the movie as the.
It's kind of a snapshot in time.
And a snapshot
in time. Which really, all years really kind of have been.
Really, yeah.
At least, with Forrest Gump.
Yeah, I'm old, I guess. I mean, that's really what it's saying. Because, most of these are either 80s or 70s or 80s.
Yeah.
With some 60s thrown in the mix. But, yeah, Almost Famous. The soundtrack on this is phenomenal. And I know they released a Stillwater.
There is.
Yeah.
Stillwater is the make-believe band from the movie Almost Famous.
Right. I don't have that. I would love to get a copy of that, too.
Which is pretty cheap. You can get that at the record store pretty cheap.
Yeah, so... But that's another movie. I can watch that movie over and over again. I have the director's cut on Blu-ray, and I try to watch it for at least once a year, if not more.
And then last for me is the soundtrack from one of my favorite movies of all time. And it's just this version. I'm not a fan of the other versions of this movie. I think this is the fourth one that's been made. But it's the newest version of A Star Is Born. I've since the first time I saw this movie, I've thought that Bradley Cooper should make a country album because the stuff he does on here is absolutely fantastic. Of course, Lady Gaga is great also. And I'm not even a big fan of her music. But the two of them together on this album is just absolutely fantastic. Well, that's all we got for today, guys. Thanks for checking the show out. Make sure you drop us a comment down below. Let us know what some of your favorite soundtracks are, because there's a bunch of great ones. I could have even went off and done, like, West Side Story is another great one, even though I know you're not a fan of musicals.
No, but I do like a lot of songs on the West Side Story soundtrack.
Okay.
So that's one of the exceptions.
Rocky Horror Picture Show is another great one. There's a bunch of them out there, but let us know what some of your favorites are. If you guys enjoyed the episode, make sure you give us the old thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button down below. And that's all we got. Until next time.
Talk to y'all later.
Keep on spinning. Peace.